everyone, welcome back. I hope you all are fine and safe. So in this video we are going to see the solution of section B. Answer the following questions as required, 2 marks each. Number 1. Why did conflict emerge between the two superpowers after the Second World War? Answer. The USA and USSR emerged as the superpowers towards the end of the World War II. Point number 1. Power struggle started between the USA and the USSR and they acquired allies. Point number 2. The USSR advocated the communist ideology to which the USA and the capitalist democratic states were opposed. Point number 3. The Eastern Europe was occupied by the USSR and there was a perceived threat of communism and the Soviet expansion in the West Europe. Point number 4. The USA allowed the policy of containment and formed NATO in 1949. Point number 5. The USA and the Great Britain took the initiative in the formation of the SEATO and CENTO to check the spread of communism. Point number 6. In response to this, the USSR and its allies signed Warsaw Treaty. Thus, conflicts emerged between the two superpowers after the Second World War. Question number 2. What were the views of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on the policy of non-alignment? Answer. Point number 1. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of independent India, was the architect of the India's foreign policy of non-alignment. Point number 2. Nehru believed that the newly independent countries like India did not have luxury to spend funds on armaments. Point number 3. It was in the national interest of India to focus on development, and development required world peace and international cooperation. Point number 4. India could contribute to world peace by non-aligning with either power blocs and military alliances. Point number 5. The presence of the non-aligned nations will reduce international tension. Now, question number 3. What is Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty? Why did India not sign this treaty? Answer. Point number 1. The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty was signed by the USA and the USSR and other nuclear powers in 1967. It was meant to prevent proliferation of nuclear arms among the states that were non-nuclear. Point number 2. In other words, it meant that the nuclear nations will continue to retain nuclear weapons, whereas the non-nuclear nations will be prohibited from acquiring nuclear capability. Point number 3. Although India welcomed this treaty as one step in the direction of disarmament, it did not sign this treaty as it was discriminatory in nature and was not in the national interest of India. Question number 4. Write about the non-aligned movement. Point number 1. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was a statesman and visionary who believed in non-alignment as a solution to the problems created by the power struggle between the USA and the USSR. Point number 2. Nehru advocated and practiced the policy of non-alignment to protect India's national interests and further the cause of world peace. Point number 3. Most newly independent countries of Asia and Africa endorsed Nehru's view at Bandung Conference in 1955. Point number 4. The initiative taken by Nehru was responded by Marshal Tito of Yugoslavia, President Nasser of Egypt, and President Sukarno of Indonesia. This led to the emergence of the non-aligned movement NAM at Belgrade in 1961. Point number 5. More than 100 countries across the world joined NAM. The NAM played a meaningful role in international politics in the era of the Cold War. Next, number 5, write about the following words. Number 1, Cold War. The USA and the USSR emerged as superpowers towards the end of the Second World War. The competition for world supremacy led to the Cold War. Number 2, the Berlin Blockade. Answer: as Germany's three western segments were united by America, France and Britain, three administrative segments of Berlin also united. In a reaction to this, Soviet Union in April 1948 declared Berlin Blockade. Next, number 3, NATO. Answer: the purpose of controlling Soviet Union and communism, Western democratic countries on the North Atlantic Ocean established a military organization in April 1949, led and inspired by America. The organization is known as NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Next, number 4, SEATO. Answer: to protect southeastern countries from the onslaught of the Soviet Union communism, America and England established military organization in 1954. This organization is known as SEATO, Southeast Asia Treaty Organization. Number 5, German Miracle. Answer: America, France and Britain united Germany's three western segments and established Federal Republic of Germany. After about 4.5 decades, Western Germany made an astonishing development. Experts consider this as German miracle. Next, section C. Answer the following questions in detail. Number 1. Write a short note on the Berlin Blockade. Point number 1. After the defeat of Germany in the World War II, the German territory was divided among themselves by the Allied powers. Point number 2. East Germany and East Berlin were under the control of the USSR. West Germany and West Berlin were under control of the USA, the UK and France. Point number 3. The Cold War between the USA and the USSR had direct impact on Berlin. Point number 4. The USSR declared Berlin Blockade in April 1948 to stop the free movement of the people in the city of Berlin. Point number 5. The Berlin Blockade caused inconvenience to a large number of Germans. Point number 6. The Berlin Blockade spurred by hostility between the USA and the USSR and the USA. Question number 2. Write a short note on the Cuban crisis. Point number 1. Cuba, situated on the southwest of the USA, is a communist country. Point number 2. The Cold War between the USA and the USSR was at its peak in the 1960s. Point number 3. Under the pretext of the defense of Cuba, the USSR had dispatched a ship carrying nuclear missiles to Cuba in 1961. Point number 4. The USA responded with a blockade of Cuba and threatened the USSR with retaliatory action. Point number 5. The world was on the brink of a nuclear war between the two superpowers. Point number 6. After a lot of heated verbal exchanges, the USSR agreed to call back its ship. Point number 7. It was realized by the two superpowers that any misunderstanding could lead to disastrous consequences and decided to install a hotline between the heads of the two countries. Next, question number 3. Write the aims of the United Nations. Answer: aims. Point number 1. To maintain world peace and security. Point number 2. To take collective action to prevent any threat to world peace and against the act of aggression. Point number 3. To make efforts to resolve international disputes by peaceful means. Point number 4, to develop friendly relations among the nations of the world on the basis of self-determination and equal rights of the nations. Point number 5, to promote international cooperation to resolve economic, social, cultural, and humanitarian problems. Point number 6, to protect the human rights and respect for these rights irrespective of differences in race, religion, language, and gender. Point number 7, to develop the sentiments of world unity and brotherhood. Point number 9, to be at the center coordinating the activities of the nations in achieving the aims of the human. So here we complete this chapter. If you have any doubt, query or suggestion, let me know in the comment section. I will see you in the next video with a new chapter. Till then, bye bye. Take care.